everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my October wrap up, and boy do we have a lot of books. Like, I'm not kidding, I think 21. Let me count really fast. I have my iPad. 22 books. Somehow this is actually less books than I read last month. I read 25 books last month, which is why I didn't do like it end of the month wrap up, because I didn't want to talk about 25 books, and I'm kind of not wanting to do the same, but I do like doing wrap ups and I want to share the good books that I've read. So we're gonna go through them. I'm gonna use my handy dandy iPad. I feel like this was a pretty good month for my physical TBR. These were the books that I was able to read. Half of the books that I read this month were on my physical TBR. I would say that's pretty dang good. So let's just hop into it. Like I said, we have a lot of books, so I'm not going to talk too much about these books. But the first book that I read was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This has been on my TBR for so long, like I think since 2022, so 3 years. And so I was so excited to finally read this. I do think this is my first horror book that I've ever read, and it was definitely horror-ish. Like, it was scary, and I did end up rating it 3.5. It made me so frustrated, like physically like upset how the women were treated in this book. Like, the true monster were the men. And that's all we need to say about this. It was also on my 25 and 2025 that I want to read. I feel like this month we read a lot of those books. So I guess the next book that we're talking about, it's actually a play, but it's called Much Ado About Nothing. I love this Pelican edition. I think it's so pretty. But yeah, I ended up reading this. It's super short. If you guys need like books to complete your goals, I suggest plays. They're good, they're historical, you're reading, and they're fun and silly. I actually got to see this play live in Shakespeare's Globe, and so I'm so glad to have finally read it. I was supposed to have read it when we went and saw it, but I didn't. Oops. But yes, this is a 5-star. It's just a classic and it's so freaking good. I can't remember if this next one was on my 25 and 2025, but at the very beginning of the month I was kind of in like a play nonfiction mood, I guess. So I ended up reading Upstream by Mary Oliver. This is a selected essays edition, or this is selected essays by her. I've read one other thing by her called Dog Songs, which that book is amazing. I do one day want to own that book, but I ended up rating this also 5 stars. I thought her ideas were so cool. She, in my review, I mentioned I learned a lot about spiders. I think that was really interesting. And then she also talked about Walt Whitman a lot and how his work influenced her work. And I love Walt Whitman. He is like, when I started my English degree at the University of Kansas, he was like the first person that I really enjoyed his work. And so I just love that she kind of has ties, or, you know, he's a big inspiration for her. So definitely recommend this one. Next, the next two are all 5 stars. I was talking to my husband and he was saying I need to be more critical of books, but they're just so good. They're so good. The next book I read was Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking. Yes, this is another 5-star. I have had this on my TBR, again, for like over 3 years. This is my friend Libby's favorite book, and so I've always wanted to read this, and it was good. I've never read anything from Joan Didion. I was more of an Eve Babbitt's girl, but now that I've read this, I definitely want to read more from her. This is not a retelling. It's her like retelling the effects of the loss of her husband on her, I guess. It's not like a retelling of anything. It's just her going back to when her husband died and just kind of the aftermath of it. And again, I didn't really know much about Joan Didion except that I had this book on my shelf forever. And hearing that she lost her husband and also her only child within, I think like it was like 3 or 5 years. Great, that's actually crazy and criminal. But yeah, it's so unfortunate, but it was really great writing, and I did rate it 5 stars. Next book I read was a poetry book, and I think this was my first book by Maggie Nelson. This is called Bluets, and I thought this was so good. Obviously it's a poetry book, and the theme is blue, if you can't tell. and I loved it. I loved everything about it. I love when a book or a collection of essays or collection of poems all have this main central idea, and you're trying to see how they all relate to that. And this is one of those. I did rate this 5 stars. It's very short. It's just very good. I had no complaints about it. And I got to read a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. It's also 25 in 2025, and it is I, Tituba, Black Witch of Salem. Guys, this was incredible. I was supposed to read this last fall when I was finishing up my last semester of my master's degree, and I think I ended up being sick the week that we were supposed to have read this, so I just forego the reading, of course. And I wish I had read it sooner because this was incredible. I could not stop reading it. It's also pretty short, but it is about a young woman who is accused of being a witch, and she does have some powers, and so I think seeing that was really, really cool, of like how, yes, she had ancestral magic, but she wouldn't have considered herself a witch. And she was actually doing a lot of good with that ancestral magic. And so it's just a very interesting narrative. It is also a slave narrative. It's where Tituba is born into slavery and then how she eventually is freed, or how she frees herself. So, love this book. I thought it was really, really good, and I would recommend it. This was 4 stars. I rated it 4 stars, and I'm so glad. I think this is the first book I've ever read about the witch trials, and so I'm glad it was this one because it was incredible. We're gonna throw some images up on the screen. So I wanted to read the second book for the Travis Baldree Legends and Latte book series. I loved that first book, which, oh wait, I have the first book on my shelf right here. Yes, I think the cover is a little silly, but this was one of the most cozy, fun romance fantasies I've ever read. I saw that this book completed one of the like optional reading challenges on Goodreads. It is called Bookshops and Bone Dust. I did think this was fun. It's actually a prequel. You see Viv, who is the main character, before she comes and opens up the latte store or the coffee shop. Yes, I really did enjoy it. It was only 3 stars, but that's still a good rating, and I did enjoy it, and I will probably read the book that is coming out, I think, later in November. But yeah, 3 stars. So I had an arc for Eli Rallo's second book. It is called Does Anyone Else Feel This Way? I got my arc through NetGalley, so I was so excited to have read it. I actually finished it the day before it was published, which was, I love that for my feedback purposes. But yes, I rated this 4 stars. I do own her first book on Audible, but I've never read it. And she actually says that if you haven't read either of her books, to start with this one. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. It is a collection of essays. Each chapter is an essay just of her feeling a certain way, and kind of, I don't want to say it's like life advice because that's not necessarily accurate. It's just a girl chronicling her life and sharing it with people who want to learn, and I really enjoyed it, and I love her. She's probably if she's not my favorite TikTok influencer, she is one of the top 3 for sure. So love her. I was so excited to read the Gingerbread Bakery. I love this series so much. I actually have all the books like right here if you can't see them. This is the one that was definitely the most highly anticipated for me. I did rate it 4 stars. I want to say I've rated all the books in this series 4 stars. They are just the perfect, cozy, like light a candle, get a cup of tea or coffee or hot chocolate, whatever your prerogative is, and then sitting down and just diving into a small town romance. They are so fun, and this one was especially fun because you have the man that has been yearning, and you know that's gonna eat every time. That's gonna eat every time. Yes, this was about Annie and Mac. You do not have to read all of the books in order, but I would suggest it just because you're gonna see the characters in the town, and if they're dating someone, that could be potentially ruining a book, you know? But yes, I love this. I already have the 5th book on pre-order that comes out in May. So you guys will be seeing that one later in the spring. But yes, 4 stars. And then we actually did a reread of Bride. This was my second time reading it. It's an automatic 5 stars. This is incredible. It was absolutely a better read this time around than I read it the last time, which was the month it came out, like February 2024. But that just has to say, I still rated it 5 stars that time, and it was better on the second reread. And I think that's just, I got to remember things and notice things the second time around. And I just gotta say, Low in Misery, I love them! Guys, if you're interested in paranormal or like dabbling in Omegaverse, you need to read this. It's phenomenal. And I guess I'll just talk about it. I did read Mate. The reread is because we had it for book club and we wanted to keep on theme, so we chose Bride for October. But then Mate also came out this month. 5 stars also. This one is about Serena and why am I forgetting his name? It's like Cole. I'm forgetting his name. But that's okay. It's still 5 stars. I did like Bride more than I liked Mate, but Mate had something in it. I can't say anything. I'm not going to spoil it, but it had this certain thing that happens in Omegaverse that was missing from this. Yeah, you're going to need to read it. You're going to need to just read both of these books. Please and thank you. And on the completely opposite side, I read a memoir by J.C. Duggard. It's called A Stolen Life. This is a 5-star read. This is about a young girl who was abducted, I believe when she was 11. I'm gonna say she was 11, and she was abducted for 18 years. She gave birth to 2 girls in her captivity, and this is just kind of her experience, and then what happened when she was found and discovered, and just kind of her life. And I thought it was very, very good. I actually got this at Goodwill. It was really random because I had heard about it and was like, oh, I want to buy this book. And then the next day or a couple days later, I went to Goodwill and there it was. And I was like, this is a sign, I need to read it. And I'm so glad I got to read it. Definitely just be prepared because it is heavier topics, but it is a really, really great read. And I think J.C. Duggard is a very inspirational woman and mother. And yeah, love this book. And then I was riding such a high from reading Bride and Mate. I had to read Allie Hazelwood's new book first. This was part of a Kickstarter that she did, I think with 7 other authors. So it's a shorter novella. It is in the Omegaverse. And unfortunately, I did not like it as much. I only rated it 3 stars, which isn't, again, this is not a bad rating, but I've rated all Allie Hazelwood books 5 stars. And yes, that is a little bit biased, but she is my favorite author. And I personally cannot think she can do any wrong until this book. There's just some things with it I had issue with. I enjoyed some of it. It just kind of felt, I don't know, like I didn't like the guy in it at all. And I feel like she usually, even like in her werewolf paranormal books, even though they're like alphas, you still like them. They still have redeemable qualities. And I felt like this main character did not, the male main character. So it was just a little unfortunate. If you're interested, you do have to buy the Kickstarter to read this at this moment, but I'm sure she'll come out with it later. Personally, I would say just wait. If you're interested, don't spend the $60, I think, on it. But it's up to you. So yeah. And then a couple months ago, my friend B gave me the Witch Hat Atelier first 5 novels, I believe. So this month I was able to read the 6th, 7th, and 8th volumes, and I am obsessed. I do rate all of these 5 stars because I think they're very enjoyable. These are very quick. Again, if you're looking for books to round out your reading challenge, you guys should pick up Witch Hat Atelier. It is so good. I actually have the next 5 books and also the last 5 books that are published right now because they lent them to me. But yes, this series is just a 5 stars. The artwork is really fun. The idea of just these 4 girls who are at like a witch hat academy kind of. They're at an atelier, but anyway, love these. Highly recommend. Okay, then I read another NetGalley arc. This is The Storm by Rachel Hawkins. This was my 3rd book by Rachel Hawkins, I want to say, and I do think it was my least favorite. I ended up rating it 3 stars, and I think part of that is I did predict the main twist, which usually that doesn't really impact how I feel about a book, but I don't know, it's kind of weird, and there was some like incest in there, and that maybe is lightly spoilerly. But oh well. This book doesn't come out till January though, so you can read reviews about it before deciding if you want to read it or not. And then for another book club I'm in, we read Once There Were Wolves. It was really funny because I'm in 2 book clubs, and in one we were reading Bride that was about wolves, and then the other one we were reading this, which is also about wolves. I would say this is a suspense slash thriller. It had some really interesting themes. There's two twin sisters. One of them, Inti, is the main character, and she is going to the Highlands in Scotland to re-release wolves to help the ecosystem, which I thought was really interesting. But there's more at play there, and I don't want to talk about it just because I don't want to spoil it. But I think this is a great book for book club because there's a lot of nuance to it, and maybe like, are there actually twins? That's all I'll say. But yes, 100% recommend this. I rated this 4 stars. And then I did a video this month where my Sunny Angel, who is right here, it's a little poppy, he picked my book for the month, or my next read, and that happened to be Bunny by Mona Awad. I rated this 4 stars. This book was crazy. Like, I still don't understand what I read, but all I know is that it was incredible and very interesting and very intriguing, and the imagery of it was really interesting, the animal imagery. I also love this cover. This is the UK edition in this like bright orange. I love the hand-drawn bunnies. I think they're so cute. And also I love how it matches my little Sunny Angel. So yes, and this has been on my October TBR. This is the second time it had been on my October TBR that I'm aware of. And I've had it for over 3 years, so I'm so glad that I finally read it. And I read Crying in H Mart. I don't know why. This is actually a really sad book, but it's a really incredible book. It is a 5-star book. This is by Michelle Zauner. Michelle Zauner. This completed a Goodreads reading challenge, one of the like fun ones. Also got to see Japanese Breakfast live at the beginning of October, and I never put 2 and 2 together that the lead singer of Japanese Breakfast was the author of Crying in H Mart. And Crying in H Mart has been on my radar since 2022, I want to say. And so when I had seen her live, I was like, oh, that's getting put higher up in my priority list. So I'm so glad to read this. I did listen to it, which she read it, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, I 100% recommend this. A girl talking about the death of her mother, up to the death, during the death, and then after the death. And I thought it was really great. It's very vulnerable, and I think it's incredible that Michelle was able to release this to potentially help other individuals going through grief. Okay guys, I feel like I've been talking forever, but we only have 2 books left. Both of them I'm going to put up here. The second to last book I read was another NetGalley arc. This book comes out in February, and guys, this is a 5-star. It is And Now Back to You. It's part of the Heartstrings series by B.K. Borison. This was the 3rd book I've read from this author. I read First Time Caller last February, maybe, when Sarah and Destiny were doing their bookmarked podcast. They had this as a book club pick, and I really enjoyed that book. It was 4 stars, but this book, oh my gosh, I could not stop thinking about reading it. Like, I read it so quickly. It was so good. Jackson and Delilah are amazing characters. One of them is a TV star personality. The other is a radio star personality. They're both meteorologists, and they go into the mountains to report on a snowstorm together in like a collaboration. And that's all you need to know. All I need to tell you is pre-order this book. When it comes out in February, you gotta read it. It's fantastic. And then finally, the last book I read this month, which was a very emotional one, was Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This is like the 4th or 5th book I've read by him. I love him so much, and I knew I was gonna love this. It was 5 stars. The description of the book doesn't explicitly say. I do want to just say trigger warning for sexual assault. The main character is the town itself. You are following all the characters within the town, or at least a large majority of characters in the town. And so that's why I would say like the main character is the town, and you have this hockey theme that I did not think I was going to enjoy as much, but I really did enjoy it. And this was another book that made me so upset. I was laughing, I was crying, I was venting to my husband about how mad I was about how survivors are treated. And I just think that means that Frederick Bachman did a really incredible job at what he was doing. He wanted to invoke those emotions, or at least I'm assuming he wanted us to feel those things. So yeah, this is absolutely a 5 out of 5. It is a hard book to read though. It took me a lot longer than this size of book would take me. Which I'm grateful for, because I think I got to enjoy it a little bit more and just take it in fully. But yes, this was the last book, and it is definitely a hard hitter. I will 100% recommend it, but just be conscious of what it's about. And I do know there are 2 other books in the series. I think it's called like Against Us and Winners, something like that, which I will hopefully come back to, but not anytime soon. I need a little bit of a break from this. Anyway guys, those are the 22 books I read this month, which is a lot. I don't know how I'm gonna fit 11 books onto our shelves here. We're gonna have to buy more, because our full bookshelves there's no more room. All had a happy Halloween, and also you had a good reading month. I'm so excited for November's reading, but I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace and love. Bye guys. Bye.